What if I told you that I came from a relatively stable, normal family with parents who love me and a wonderful brother, a loving older sister, lots of cousins, and extended family members? That doesn't sound like the image of someone who was an unhappy child. I have watched countless videos and read countless articles about childhood trauma, and it often focuses exclusively on family dynamics. It almost never talks about any other form of trauma, in my experience. There is another side to childhood trauma that I don't think is discussed enough. I'm talking about peer-related trauma, usually from school or childhood friends. My name is Zarina Matcha, and you're watching The Rational Female. If you enjoy my content, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. On the surface, I have had a decent life. I had a good education, I excelled academically, and I come from a good family. I attended a music academy for university. I have published many books, and I have been making YouTube videos for years. Yet, like many other people, underneath the surface there has been a lot going on. During primary school, I was bullied heavily by the girls in my class for 7 years. It's incredibly painful for me to talk about. I was very scared of these girls. If you're familiar with the novel Lord of the Flies, I was basically Piggy. From what I remember, having discussed this with counselors and therapists and in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings over the years, the girls would usually say that they were going to discuss something and then just run off and leave me, and I would just be standing on my own, left out. In games, I was always the character who was made fun of. I was frequently publicly humiliated in front of everyone. I have severely distressing memories from that period of my life. This went on year after year, from the age of about 4 until 11. At one point, my mom did intervene and she spoke to the headmistress, but that resulted in the girls getting very angry at me and being really upset and blaming all of this on me. I remember crying and being very afraid. I actually cried heavily as a child, often in private. I felt as if I lived a double life. I would go to school and be one person, and then come home and be another person. I felt very safe at home, and I loved playing with my brother. I do remember sometimes taking out certain frustrations on him, because in school I felt like I had no power. As well as all this, I had a close friendship with someone who didn't go to the same primary school as me, and that friendship was incredibly dysfunctional. It's had a deeply negative emotional effect on me. I'm even a bit scared to mention this in this video because even though I haven't spoken to this person in years, I'm scared that they would see this and try and contact me about this, and I don't really want to engage with them. However, this is my story, and I have every right to discuss this as part of my healing journey, as I believe we all should in our own way. The friendship went on for about 10 years, so from childhood until our late teens. I was on eggshells around this person constantly, and I was quite frightened of them. One minute they would be very happy and bubbly, and the next they'd be very cold, detached, and severely moody. They would have very severe mood swings, which I just couldn't predict. I was very, very on edge all the time. It really messed me up, and the worst part is that this friend actually had no idea what they were doing. I didn't even tell her until we were both in our late teens, and she was completely shocked. I do not think that this person was aware or intended to behave that way towards me. She also had no idea about the fact that I'd been bullied so heavily in primary school. I didn't tell her until I was about 17. Nobody in my life really knew what had been going on throughout my childhood. I didn't really have any real, genuine friends as a child apart from my brother. I would say that he was my one true friend. And when I say real friends, I mean friends who didn't make me nervous or scared or put me down or make fun of me in a way that I didn't like. Technically, I did have friends as a child, but I would say most of those friendships were largely unhealthy and dysfunctional. They weren't really fulfilling, rewarding friendships. There was another person I was best friends with for years as a teenager, and one day he just flipped out at me out of the blue, and I was completely shocked. For years, he and I were very, very close, and we had a great friendship, or at least I thought we did. It's very painful to lose people who mattered a lot to you. While I have had a few difficult friendships as an adult, I've generally found that my adult friendships are much healthier and far more rewarding than the friendships I experienced as a child. I'm very fortunate I've got some very good people in my life now. There is only one friend who is still in my life from my younger years, and she is great. We have a fantastic friendship, we always have, but I don't really look back on my time in school with feelings of joy. Honestly, I'm glad that it's all over. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and severe panic disorder at 19. I would say that the heavy depression really began in sixth form when I was 16, and this is when I started having counseling. I have had counseling for many years with various counselors, some good and some not so good. I'm currently having therapy with a clinical psychologist, and we're now consolidating what I have endured over the years. I do have complex PTSD, which is generally associated with repeated or prolonged trauma over time rather than a single traumatic event. I was also sexually assaulted by my first sexual partner when I was 18, which I have discussed on this channel. I generally feel like people don't really know what to say when it comes to experiences like this. Childhood is usually talked about as a happy and carefree time, so when someone says that adulthood is actually better than childhood, it can sound strange to a lot of people. I even posted this on Reddit, and most people disagreed. I think that we romanticize childhood too much, but that's probably because most people equate childhood with happiness. For me, adulthood is about freedom. I understand that my experience of adulthood has not been like most people's. I have been out of traditional work for most of my adult life because of my mental health experiences. It's not what I would have wanted for myself, but it has been my circumstances. This actually has given me free time to pursue the things I want, which is writing fiction and making videos. So in a way, I'm actually very lucky. For those who don't know, I was sectioned for psychosis in 2024, which I have also discussed on this channel. My general living situation now is better than it ever has been in my life. I feel very grateful that I live where I do, I have a lot of support, and the people around me are very helpful and understanding. I would say that this is actually the best time of my life so far. I'm almost 29 years old and I couldn't be more content. I have many good friends, many of whom I met at university and in my 20s, and I still have loving family close by. The mental health system in the UK is not perfect, nor is the welfare system, but it has saved my life. I would be dead if not for it. So I'm not going to knock what we have in the UK in terms of welfare and social support. This stuff is there for people who struggle to cope with what others may just get on with. I think that when we discuss childhood trauma, we place most of the emphasis on family trauma and not enough on other types of trauma. Not everyone who comes from a loving family becomes a happy adult. I have met so many people in Alcoholics Anonymous who came from good families and had very happy childhoods, yet they became addicts. I'm very, very lucky and grateful to be 4 months sober and to be taking care of myself with all of the support around me. If you can relate to anything I have said today, do let me know your thoughts below. Thank you for watching.